Hey guys, welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. It's TJ Gamer Girl signing on. So, last episode, we finished up we finished up Osawa's time block, which moved us on to the next time block. We got a bad end with Maria, with Kano, and now we're seeing if Achi will help with either of them. His destination, the security camera monitoring room in Dogonzaka. Achi didn't know his face until they were nearing their destination. Then he turned to look back at Hitomi. He was about to ask if she was doing alright when someone close at hand called out to him. Hey, mind if I ask you something? Have you ever heard of SOS? Achi stopped in his tracks as a stranger stepped in front of him. The guy looked too old to be picking a fight with SOS. Achi regarded him with suspicion. Yeah, why do you ask? Do you happen to be a member yourself? No, not anymore. The man's eyes flashed with a gleam of recognition. Did this guy know who he was? The broad grin, the stranger took a step closer. Achi's heart sank. He couldn't afford to get caught up in some new hassle right now. Hitomi flashed him a worried look. Let's go. Achi and Hitomi dodged past the man and hurried onward. Even if the guy was harmless, they needed to be on their guard. There was no telling just how many thugs and assassins were looking for Hitomi. Rather than head directly for the surveillance building, Achi decided he better make sure the stranger wasn't up to something. Hitomi followed as he slipped quickly into a back alley. There was no indication that the man was following them. What was that guy's deal? Hitomi asked. No idea. But he sure seemed kind of fishy. Doesn't look like he's coming after us, though. They took a quick detour through another seedy back alley. Then, as they were starting to head toward their original destination, Achi felt a sudden searing pain in his back. Son of a... He discovered that one of the four syndicate members had crept behind him and struck him from behind. Oh no. I've been stabbed. Hitomi screamed. Another man suddenly appeared, grabbing her by the arms. Told me. Achi tried to reach out to her, but his arm was leaden. His body refused to obey his command. Attacker wrenched the knife from his back. No, he didn't! It's still in there! Two men started to drag Hitomi away. Damn it. He tried to pursue them, but his legs faltered and he couldn't find their footing. He was losing blood so fast that he was starting to fade from consciousness. Achi could only watch impotently as Hitomi was dragged further and further away. From wanting to interview Achi? Do part of his story? I wanna fix Kano's band ends. Damn it, the video just started. 4 minutes in and we already got a bad ending. Well, okay, 3 minutes. I started recording, but then it takes me a little bit to... I take at least 10 or 20 seconds to, get ready, I guess? Let's do Osawa. If we end up at another bad end, I am going to be really pissed. I've never trusted anyone, not on a fundamental level. Human beings are a type of organism that I can't get a true handle on through mere surface interactions. And the very fact that I've never trusted anyone else anyone else inevitably means that no one has ever trusted me. In the end, maybe the root of all my problems can be traced back to my heart. As he waited for Minorikawa to contact him, Osawa thought about his current crisis. Assuming Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, then he must have accomplices. And these criminals had mistakenly abducted Maria in their attempt to get the antiviral drug that was in Hitomi's blood. Maria and Hitomi were fraternal twins, but they looked similar enough to be mistaken for identical twins. Still, Tanaka would never confuse the two. The mix-up must have been made by some criminal who didn't know Maria or Hitomi personally. Insisting that Hitomi bring the ransom to the train station was obviously their solution. It had set her up for a second abduction. But piecing together this much of the kidnapper's plan only raised a different question. Why had Tanaka show him those emails from Hitomi? Wouldn't the criminals want to keep information like that hidden? The more Osawa thought about things, the less they made sense. Just who are my true allies? Who are my foes? Mr. Osawa, a delivery has arrived for you. It was Kajiwara at the study door. Come in. Kajiwara stepped into the room and handed Osawa a letter-sized envelope. Osawa checked the label. Kamin, the official Aya Kamiki fan club membership appreciation. Right. He had requested the application the day he'd gotten back from overseas. Would you mind opening that? Kajiwara asked apologetically. What for? I'd just like to test the contents of the packages you received today, sir. It's possible the kidnapper may try to make contact with you by mail. Also, opened the envelope. Inside, he found the expected application, along with several postcards featuring pictures of the scener. Kajiwara peered pointedly at the postcard images. You must really like her, the detective said. And just what sort of music do you listen to, then? Also asked, staring at one of the postcards. It was a striking photo that showed off Kamiki's expressive eyes. Let me think. Mostly classical, I suppose. Osawa raised a quizzical eyebrow. You know, Kajiwara continued, like Mozart and Chopin and the like. Yes. He hummed a few bars. Can't say I've ever heard them. You serious? Kajiwara looked shocked. I'm familiar with the names, of course. I just never had much of an interest in music. Oh, that's such a shame. Would you care to listen to a piece now? I suppose I may as well. Yeah, might as well. Now that he brought it up, also I was curious to know what sort of music Kajiwara enjoyed. I suppose I may as well. The detective pulled up a digital music player out of his pocket. Here you go. Also, slipped the attached earbuds into his ears. He heard a flow of quiet streams that was soon joined by bold, dramatic horns. As the piece continued, it grew more profound and complex, and also it could feel his spirit calming. He took a deep breath and then expelled it through his nostrils. It felt as if the toxic gloom that had filled him was departing with the air. Before he knew it, nearly 10 minutes had passed. What do you think? It's quite nice. The theme of this piece is... Kajiwara paused for a moment and thought. Well, it's about how erudition can be boorishness. Accumulated knowledge, the term often connotes as advanced or esoteric understanding. Displaying a moderate amount can impress others, but pompously flaunting it is bound to put them off. Thank you. If I hadn't met you, I'd never discovered this piece. He spoke the words unthinkingly, with unaccustomed frankness. Was this the power of music, then? I'm very happy to hear that, sir. Also, he gazed at the postcard as he let himself be drawn back into the music. Aya was scooping up handfuls of mystical blue sand. The grains dripped down from her fingertips. I feel like I could be in this photo here, also I muttered. Like I've lived my life letting so many things slip through my fingers. Kajiwara thought for a moment before responding. I think anyone who's worked hard to accomplish something and focused for a long time on that one thing is susceptible to those kind of feelings. Accomplishing something means getting results. That's not where my problem is. Also, I'll remove the headphones that gave back the music player. You told me not to hide things from you, right? Kajiwara nodded silently. allow me to speak frankly. Leaning back heavily in his chair, Osawa took another deep, slow breath. I'm anxious. So anxious that it's almost crushing me. Given the circumstances, sir, that's completely understood. No! Osawa spoke up before Kajiwara could finish. It's not that. It's not that at all. He shook his head vigorously. If the worst should happen to my daughter, how am I going to feel, I wonder? I'm not a man with a wide range of emotions. My heart is always cold somehow. And the truth is I've wanted it to be that way. Which is why, if I do lose my daughter, my heart might remain unmoved. I may not even be able to feel a father's sorrow. That's what I'm anxious about. He felt his emotions twist inside him in a way that was utterly confusing. For perhaps the first time in his life, he realized how fickle a thing the human heart could be. It's alright, sir. Kajiwara flashed him a carefree smile. What's alright? People who really have cold hearts don't worry about that sort of thing. The detective held out his music player again. Here, I'd like you to have this. Please, give it another listen if you'd like. I think it might help you calm your nerves. Osawa took the offered device. He had dared to open up to Kajiwara just a little, and to his own surprise, he felt grateful for it. And how about one of these as well? The detective produced a banana from his pocket. God, no, what are you doing with a banana in your pocket? I'm fine, thanks. Are you sure? Oh, alright, I guess I'll take it. Osawa spoke irritably, then his expression softened a little. You know, you've been getting on my nerves all day. Really. And here I thought I'd been doing what I could do to soothe your spirits, Mr. Osawa. It's actually been a real long time since I've yelled at anyone quite so much. As the words left his lips, Osawa found himself thinking back to one particular rainy day. Maria had been in 5th grade at the time. Osawa was standing in his daughter's room. In his hands he held the letter she left behind. He happened to glance out the window and saw Maria walking along, soaked from head to toe. In an instant, Osawa was consumed with rage. Maria had left a note. It read, Dad, you only pay attention to Hitomi. You're too busy to work to play with me, so I'm running away from home. Struck by an impulse he didn't quite understand, he ran from the room, heading for the front door. Maria had just gone back inside. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of her hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. You don't care what happens to me, do you? Impulsively, he slapped her in the face. Maria's cheek turned red and tears welled up in her eyes. Osawa's anger transformed abruptly into guilt. He gazed down at the palm of his hand and saw a tiny spot of blood. He was shocked by the recognition of what he had just done. And then he was afraid. Afraid that his daughter could bring such raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. Is something wrong, Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara was leaning in, looking concerned. Osawa came back into the moment with a start. He realized he'd buried his face in his hands. No, he muttered, looking up. Just getting angry, yelling at people. I'm not good with that sort of thing. I don't like it. He picked up the music player and fidgeted with the earbuds as he spoke. Well, getting angry and yelling at people, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just human. It's human to do those kinds of things. I often said that he was cold and mechanical. Her sarcasm only underlined with the fact he'd always lived with that he didn't know how to conduct himself like a human being. If you get angry, you show it, Kajiwara said. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling, after all. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. It occurred to Osoa that he'd never tried to tell anyone how he felt before. He never felt the need to. And yet, right now, he suddenly felt that if his daughters were to appear before him, he might blurt out everything he'd ever left unsaid. It was a terrifying thought. Darling? I opened the door and stepped into the room. The detectives are asking for you. It seems there's been a development. We'll be right there. Also, Kajiwara hurried out of the room. Just from this picture, the tension between these two is palpable. You can cut it with a knife. Before the news was shared with the Osoas, the members of the investigation team quietly briefed Detective Kajiwara. Osoa and I sat on the sofa on the far end of the room, watching. They could see Kajiwara go pale. He wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief several times. Bad news, Osoa thought. Mr. Osoa, ma'am. Kajiwara shuffled his way over to them at last. We've just gotten a word from headquarters. He hesitated ominously. Osoa braced himself. Please, let's hear it. First, about your daughter Hitomi. Kajiwara's expression was grim. The body of a young man named Achi Endo was discovered near Shibuya Station. The body? Name meant nothing to us. Damn it! And the body not too far from the scene, the detective swallowed. Your daughter Hitomi was found dead. The world began to shake. Also, a staggered reeling with sudden nauseating vertigo. No, it's not possible. After that, your daughter Maria. The words blurred together. He could no longer comprehend what he was hearing. Everything was wobbling, shuddering, distorting. Hitomi was dead? Hitomi? At those words, Osoa's whole world went dark, as if someone had just yanked the curtains closed. Damn it! Okay, I have to do Minorikawa, because Minorikawa is just one bad ending to another, and all I'm trying to do is fix things. Wait a second. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. Gah! Minorikawa stopped and let out a cry of frustration. Daisuke Endo had asked him for a favor after their interview was done. He'd promised to tell the Wandering Angels that the dry ice machine they'd purchased was defective. Episode 5! Yes! At last, the climax of the play drew near. There was a whole string of troubles, but the cast soldiered on, and it looked like things were going to end all right. Then, backstage, Bando noticed that the dry ice machine was acting strangely, even after it had been turned off. The machines continued to turn on more dry ice. The producer, Tsukuzawa, demanded that the defective device be returned immediately, and so Tosuka, Bando, and Amo loaded into their vehicle and left the theater. Well, damn. That had completely slipped his mind. If he recalled correctly, the issue was that once the machine had started making dry ice, it wouldn't stop. If he ran back to the theater now, he'd lose about 10 minutes. Minorikawa checked his wristwatch. The lone people would be coming by the editing office before too long. He needed to prove to them that the next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip was well underway, or else they'd refuse to wait any longer for repayment. And to do that, he needed to fill a minimum of 6 of the 12 remaining blank pages. He couldn't afford to waste even a single second. This was an awkward position to be in. He needed to keep his promise to Endo, but he also needed to spend his time wisely. Bah! Guess I don't have a choice. There was nothing he could do, having forgotten, and he agreed to take on the responsibility. He headed back for the theater. When he got in there, he flagged down the first guy he sought to tell him about the dry ice machine. Hey, make sure you remember what I'm about to tell you, okay? The dry ice machine's broken. The man stared back at him blankly, but Minorikawa just forged ahead. Got it? The dry ice machine is broken. It needs to go back to the electronics store. Make sure you let the folks in charge here know. His obligation meant he hurried back to the cafe to get back to work on his copy. Along the way, he caught sight of a young couple running. They seemed like an odd pair. The girl looked prim and proper while the boy struck him as a bit thuggish. In fact, the boy's clothing was very much in the style worn by Shibuya street gangs. Maybe he knows something about SOS. No! Hurrying to cross their path, Minorikawa called out to the pair. Hey, mind if I ask you something? Oh! That's how that happened. Okay. Just go straight to the cafe. He won't run into them. Sorry, Endo. Sorry, Orai. You're just gonna have to let this one slide. I've got Toyoma's life on the line here. And that should fix Achi, which in turn should fix Osawa. He opened the door to the cafe with the practice of a regular. Look, the waitress only got that far before her face fell. You again? Hey, hurry up and give me a seat. She grimaced wickedly. I'm terribly sorry, sir, but we're all full at the moment. He looked around. All the seats were indeed filled. As you can see, sir. Really now. The waitress grinned wide with triumph. Yes, sir. Fine, I'll just wait here. Let me get some power. Jamming his power. You are in front of the entrance, dude. That's not nice. That's actually quite rude. Jamming the power cable into a nearby outlet, Minorikawa plunked himself right down on the floor and booted up his laptop. The waitress watched in dismay, then turned to stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Just do whatever you want. She's given up. This poor girl's given up. She muttered vaguely. You know, a person can only get away with being obnoxious for so long. Sooner or later, someone's likely to call the police. Oh! Hi, Yana. Minorikawa looked up from his work, startled to see the burning hammer salesman standing over him. You're Mr. Yana Gishita. Thank you so much for stopping by earlier. Are you going to write your article here? Yana eyed Minorikawa's computer. Oh, that's the latest model, isn't it? Look, I got no time to talk right now. Minorikawa opened the file with his half-written copy. Oh, what's this? Chaos at Bogus Weight Loss Drink Sales Demo. Yana read the copy aloud. The organizer, Junichi Yanagishita, didn't merely have a whiff of deceit about him. His breath also stunk. Sound good? Minorikawa asked. I wanted to make sure I gave an accurate impression. Oh, I love what you've done with it. This is a great copy. Fantastic. Yana turned to look at him with a manic grin. Yeah, isn't it? In a flash, Yana's face went from grinning to livid. Like hell it is! You think I'm gonna just let you write something like that? She said. Yana! Seriously? Snatching up the computer, Yana bolted out of the cafe. Hey, get back here! Minorikawa leapt to his feet and rushed off in pursuit. As he sprinted madly along, Yana turned down a narrow alley. Minorikawa stayed close behind, desperate not to lose sight of him. His quarry began to weave his way through the back alleys of Shibuya. This guy clearly knew his way around town. By Miyashita Park, they zipped up onto a pedestrian bridge. Just where the heck was this idiot going? Halfway across the overpass, Yana suddenly stopped. Confused, Minorikawa stopped as well. Give that back, he called. Oh my god, they're replaying the scene from the beginning of the game with the case. The next moment, Yana flashed a mocking grin and dangled the laptop over the railing. Uh-oh. Minorikawa lunged toward him, but it was already too late. The laptop left Yana's hand and went spinning down through the air. Then, as the two men struggled, Yana himself toppled over the railing. Without hesitating, Minorikawa jumped down as well. Whoa! Yeah! Ooh. He got it! As he struggled to regain his breath, Minorikawa landed hard. As he struggled to regain his breath, he looked around and saw Yana beside him. Incredibly, the laptop was safe in the charlatan's grasp. Apparently, he'd somehow managed to catch it in midair. Before Minorikawa could be too relieved, however, Yana got to his feet and took off running again. Get back here, you little weasel! I don't think so! The Yana guy was infuriating. Man, and he was really fast. Minorikawa considered himself a decent runner, but he couldn't manage to gain on Yana. If running away was a competitive sport, the guy would be a world-class superstar. As he ran along, a peculiar thought occurred to him. Hold on a minute. If he hates my copy that much, shouldn't he have wanted my computer to break? Why'd he go off his way to catch it like that? It made no sense at all. Hey! Minorikawa shouted between gasps of breath. What are you planning to do with the laptop? Yana glanced back at him. Gonna sell it. Sorry about this. What? Minorikawa was taken aback. Consider it compensation for defamation of character. Come on, get real. It can't be defamation if the article hasn't run yet. Then consider it an advance on the compensation. This was so nonsensical, it made Minorikawa's head hurt. But now at least he knew why Yana had dived after the computer. The thief continued to weave his way through the side streets. His speed didn't diminish in the slightest. Damn it, this guy has too much experience running away. Minorikawa's stamina began to fade, and finally he lost sight of his cord. But that didn't mean he was ready to give up the search. There were articles on that computer that were right on the verge of completion. Whatever it took, he had to get it back. Yana had said he was going to sell it. Where could he be headed then? He was probably headed to the sales demo venue, headed to that knick-knack shop, Endo Electronics. So if we go to the knick-knack shop, he's gonna be all tied up and stuff. Endo Electronics. Probably he was headed to Endo Electronics. It was the only local place you could think of that might buy a second-hand computer. Sorry, Minorikawa. But, misfortune needs to happen to you in order to progress with another person. Damn. The guy had led him on a wild goose chase. Minorikawa started running toward Dogenzaka. As he approached the scramble outside the station, he caught sight of a skinny figure disappearing into the throng along Center Guy. A suit with deep bluish stripes. There was only one man he knew who dressed like that. But why was he heading down Center Guy and not toward Dogenzaka? Oh, now I remembered. There was a second-hand knick-knack shop near where the Burning Hammer demo had been held. He recalled seeing a poster out front that read, "We buy computers at top prices." Is this so in... Yep. Probably he was heading to the knick-knack shop. Minorikawa recalled seeing one of the Burning Hammer demo sites. He also recalled seeing a poster outside the place that we would buy computers at top prices. Need to readjust my headset. Damn, the guy let him on a goose chase. Shop was surely where he was going to sell the laptop. Gulping a deep breath, he headed in that direction. There you are, Yana Gishita! Minorikawa burst into the shop on Center Guy, an accusing finger pointing squarely at the thief. Listen, there's no way I'm buying a computer that doesn't have a power cable! Details. All you sell here is junk anyway. Still bad end? Well, let's continue and find out what'll happen. Yana and shopkeeper had gotten into an argument. Minorikawa recognized the shopkeeper. It was the guy he'd run into on the roadside earlier. That computer belongs to me, Minorikawa shouted as he marched up to them. Give it back. Yana clutched the laptop to his chest. Nuh-uh, I need the money. Knock it off, you're acting like a child. Minorikawa tried to slap him out of his tantrum, but Yana ducked to avoid the blow. And then, bizarrely, Yana froze. A fierce gleam came to his eyes. He broke into an incomprehensible stammer. That's it! Yana snatched up a flyer that his gaze had fixed on. Iron stomach, huh? This right here is my little bluebird of happiness, he cried. You know what? You can have this. Yana shoved the laptop into Minorikawa's arms. And welcome to it, you idiot. I don't need no worthless computer. You're the idiot, Buster. Minorikawa smacked Yana right across the face. Ow! Hitting him felt good. He decided to do it again. He drew back his arm to deliver another blow, but then someone else came into the shop. Yana's eyes lit up as they saw who it was. Oh, my angel! Whatever is my darling Miku doing here? Miku stood in the doorway on the verge of tears. Mr. Minorikawa, she began and her voice choked up. Miku, what's the matter? Is something wrong? Miku drew in close to Minorikawa's side. Huh? Yana's gaze darted back and forth between Minorikawa and Miku. You two know each other? Sort of. More to the point. Is she the girl you said you were in love with? That's right, the one and only Miku. I have her entrance music set as my ringtone. Paying no heed to Yana's excitement, Miku kept her eyes fixed on Minorikawa. I lost to a girl who knows Aiki Jutsu. Well, I lost! She buried her face in Minorikawa's chest. Yana let out a gasp. What's this about? What in the world? What is all this about? He seemed on the verge of panic. Mr. Minorikawa, I need to learn Aiki Jujutsu. I feel so ashamed. She buried her face even deeper into Minorikawa's chest. That's so unfair! With tears in his eyes, Yana darted out the door, which in turn should change Madia's fate. Minorikawa glared after the pathetic fellow as he scampered off. The guy sure knows how to take advantage of a bad situation, I'll give him that, he murmured. Get him away. I'm just glad I got my partner back. Anyhow, I'm just glad I got my partner back. Ordinarily, he'd be inclined to pursue Yana and subject him to a tirade, at the very least, but there was no time for that now. He explained the situation to the shopkeeper, who flashed a sympathetic smile. Ah, is that so? Luckily for you, he screwed up then. Much as I'm happy to do business, I just can't buy a computer that doesn't come with its accessories. So you'd have bought it from him if it had the accessories. Of course. Stolen or not, it's all the same once I've sold it. The shopkeeper chuckled unapologetically. Huh, suppose that's true. Minorikawa laughed along with him. Yeah, all the same. Like hell it is, he roared. The shopkeeper froze with like a startled rabbit. I bet everything you have for sale here has been stolen, hasn't it? Don't be ridiculous. I'll warn you up front, there's no use hiding things from me. I've interviewed you, after all, I know you. The shopkeeper was getting more and more flustered. Well, I mean, look, this is just between you and me, okay? Sometimes I go around gathering stuff that people have lost and I sell it here. But it's not stolen, it's just repurposed. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The shopkeeper smiled irrigatingly. You moron! Minorikawa stuck his finger in the man's face. Selling lost property is a serious crime, too. I mean, yeah, anywhere it is. In the United States it is. A potential violation of Article 254 of the Penal Code of Japan regarding embezzlement of lost property, which states, a person who embezzles lost property, drift property, or any other property which belongs to another person is in no one's possession shall all be punished by imprisonment with work for not more than 1 year, a fine if not more than 100,000 yen, or a petty fine. It is? Well, I mean, I guess I sort of figured it might be, sometimes. Well, I'm not the police. I'm more into curiosity than legality. In fact, I find all this pretty fascinating. I mean, what sort of things do you have gathered up for sale? Well, let me see. Like this, and that, and that, and that. The man pointed to various items on the shelves. And also this, and that, and that, and that, and that, I guess? Minorikawa's eyes were directed all over the shop. everything the shopkeeper had pointed out had a hefty price tag. And you're actually able to sell things like this? Minorikawa asked. Sure, I can sell stuff. Earlier today, someone bought a big necklace. I'd listed it for 40,000 yen, but I discounted it to 30,000. And you can still make profits even when offering discounts. Sure, I mean, it was just something I found lying on the ground anyway, after all. Minorikawa looked back at him, and for a moment he laughed as well. Then his face turned hard. This is no laughing matter, he bellowed. You need to stop what you're doing here right away. Otherwise, you're going to find out what it's like to get punished by my head of justice. I'm so sorry. The shopkeeper bowed repeatedly. This guy just has the worst luck sometimes. Minorikawa glared. The truth was that right now he was so busy he'd have to let this guy slide. Still, the whole asinine affair had eaten up a big chunk of time he didn't have to waste. He was going to have to finish up his coffee back at the editing office. Laptop in hand, he left the shop, only to stop short when a slight figure stepped out in front of him. Mr. Minorikawa, Miku stood there barring his path. Please, introduce me to a dojo where I can learn Aiki Jujutsu. I'm sorry, I really don't have time for this right now. Minorikawa tried to hurry onward, but she stubbornly refused to let him pass. You introduced me to that other dojo before, remember? I suppose so, now that you mention it. He tried to slip by her on right-hand side, but she was quick to block him. You're the only one who introduced me to the world of martial arts, Mr. Minorikawa. Well, yes. You know you're putting me in a bit of a bind here. Trying to slip by her on her left was a no-go, too. She could anticipate his every move. Please, just hear me out, Miku said. She was speaking through quiet sobs now. I can't stand to leave scenes like this. She looked Minorikawa right in the eye. Sorry, you'll just have to persevere until you're able to win again. It is a good opportunity for you. You can find something to do with yourself that isn't martial arts. I mean, they're all basically saying, let me pass. It's something you need to do yourself. But you were the champion at that one pub, right? Maybe your mistake was thinking that you'd be able to win an actual for-real fight. Miku began to tremble. You jerk! Miku delivered a blindingly fast slap to Minorikawa's cheek. Why'd you have to put it like that? You're so mean. Bursting into tears, Miku ran off. Hey, Miku! She gave no sign that she'd heard him and didn't turn around. Minorikawa rubbed his cheek. It's done. For once, he actually regretted what he said. Maybe he shouldn't have assumed she'd be so willing to just give up her hobby. He did in fact know of several Aiki Jujutsu dojos. If only he had the time, he could have introduced her easily enough. Checking his watch, he saw only 30 minutes and change until 4 o'clock. There was no more wiggle room at this point. These articles need to get written, and fast. He needed to get back to the editing department. And yet... Oh, damn it all to hell, I can't get to work like this. Minorikawa broke into a run. But he didn't run for Heaven Publishing. Instead, he went after Miku. And we're gonna keep out! Well... yeah, all three of them have their bad endings gone. So, I want to continue Achi. Or, no, we'll continue Maria in the next episode. Until then, this is Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.